You may need to, yeah.
Sorry.
You're good. Hello, everyone. My name is Heather, and I am a holistic health and life coach. And today I am interviewing one of my clients. The main thing that I do is I help my clients overcome anxiety and learn how to move through and recover from any trauma that they have experienced. And this is one of my clients that I've been working with for a very long time now. We're going on into our 6 months of working together, and she's made some really incredible shifts. So she has been kind enough to let me interview her and ask her some questions about this experience to share with you all today. So her name is Fancy, and she's going to be explaining how she was feeling before our work and how she's feeling now. And hopefully she's going to share some really awesome tips for you guys to help you guys at home. So I'm super excited to hear her feedback and give it to you guys so that you guys can see how that this is possible for you too. Okay, Fancy. So thanks for doing this with me. I'm super excited to have you here and to get your feedback. I enjoy working with you so much, and you do such a great job. So I'm really excited to get your feedback and share it with other people, because hearing other stories is really what helps people see that what's possible for them. So I'm really thankful for you for being here today.
Yes, of course.
Awesome. Okay, so before we started working together, I really want you to think back to the experiences that you were having, like the day that you kind of realized like what my program was and you decided to give it a try. What was the mindset you were in? What were the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions that you were experiencing before we started working together?
Well, at that time in my life, I was in a hard relationship to be in. And I spent a lot of days putting myself down and not realizing that there's more to life out there and happier things to have. So, and, you know, mentally, I was not in a good spot at all, crying every day. The minor inconveniences would really amp that up, my anxiety for sure. Um, and then started talking to you, and you're a very persuasive person. You're talking, and I seen an outlook in your program that would probably help me, and now I'm glad I did for sure.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's touch on that a little bit more. So, do you care to tell us like what was this relationship like? Like what were the experiences? Like how did that relationship make you feel? And like what do you think really helped you see that you maybe, deserved better, or what was the shift there?
Well, I mean, it was a 3-year relationship, and because I had no self worth, I thought that this man was worth changing my whole personality and everything I was over. So, and I did that for 2 years. I was very submissive to him, and it was, I had to give up everything, my family, my life, my friends, my animals suffered because of this. So it was a very miserable time for me, and it took hanging out with you, and with a few of my other friends to make me realize that maybe, life wasn't worth putting myself down so much. And we started working together. I think it wasn't 2 or 3 weeks maybe before I decided that was like, that's all it needed. That's all I needed. I had the idea in my head, but I needed the push it was to run out of there. And it's been great ever since. So
Yay.
I've had
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, and so let's touch on that, the self-worth, if that's okay. So like what exactly does that mean to you? Like you said I didn't have self-worth. So what kind of thoughts or feelings, or like what was like in your, what was going on in your mind? Does that make sense?
So yeah, yeah, no, I gotcha. So what I mean by that, like, I don't know, I just wanted at that point, I was just so maybe uncomfortable with myself. I think it was, and maybe the person that I knew I was, but was afraid to be, and express to him. And he made me feel even worse about it. So I just shoveled that down even more, and then when I stopped surrounding myself with him so much, started breaking away from it only being the two of us, and started realizing that there's people out here that enjoy the person that I am, the person I'm not, or the person I am when I'm not with him, and that meant a lot to me. And I was like, well, am I going to spend the rest of my life changing and choking this down and not being who I truly want to be, and not understanding that there is more to me, and that I'm worthy of being the person that I truly am, or you know just be like this shell of a person. So I decided I was going to live in that moment, and I definitely, since working together, the self-worth, I not to sound cocky or nothing, but I feel like I'm worth a lot more than I was back then. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, and maybe you're not willing to compromise this person that you found anymore, right?
Like, if you don't like me, all right, well, see you later. Somebody else will.
Oh yes, I love it. I love this. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I don't think I think so many people, so many women out there that might get to see this video can really relate to that. I know that I used to be able to relate to that. And I know a lot of my other clients do too. So I'm really thankful that you are being so open and honest and sharing with everyone, because I really think people are going to relate to that. And like I said, the best way for people to understand that they can do it is by seeing other people that have done it before them.
For
So cool.
sure.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. So were there anything, that you tried before we started working together? Like, you were kind of experienced this relationship for like 3 years. 2 of the years you were like compromising yourself and like trying to change who you were. Were you just kind of dealing with this on your own, or was there anything that you tried before we worked together that maybe didn't really work or didn't really help you out?
Um, I mean, I would talk, to like people I worked with, but it was the same thing. That's really my only outlook, that I had. Like, but it was always the same, like, well, you do what's right for you, you leave him, yada, 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 the same repetition. So, uh, it didn't really work, not for me, it took going further than that, getting into the program that we had here, and because I've always been the one, I love to talk for sure, but it gets kind of frustrating hearing the same thing over and over, and you just don't want to talk to those people no more, So, um, but back then too, I can honestly say, like, I was drowning in, not drowning literally, but I would drink a lot, to try to drown what was going on there,
Yeah.
and since I hardly touch alcohol at all, just because, exactly, like, just the type of person I was back then is not the same now. So that's why kudos to this, because I love it.
Yes, yes, I love that so much. So maybe like alcohol, you were kind of using alcohol to cope and to just numb things, and then also like trying to just talk to like coworkers or some other friends. But like you said, like they mean well, but they really don't know what else to tell you other than just listen to your gut, follow your heart, do what's best for you. And you're like, oh, I don't know what's best for me. I've kind of compromised who I am, right?
Right, like, do you have any advice?
Um, yeah, so sometimes like we really need somebody who has been there and made it to the other side to help guide us, to help us see things from a new perspective, and not like sometimes we need some support and accountability and guidance so that we can make the shifts that we know we're capable of making. But when we aren't hearing or seeing anything new, we can get really scared to make a change. But when we have new perspectives on our situation, we're like, oh wow, other people have been here before and they've made shifts, so can I, especially when you've got someone in your orbit,
Mhm.
whether that's a coach or a therapist or someone that is like, has been there and has made it out, and that can hold you accountable and support you through it. It can really give you that new perspective, and also like the hope, like, that if someone else could do it, then so can you. And it's like you kind of just start to take initiative there.
Yeah, I totally agree there because I fought with that for a year, like the whole wanting to leave, and just didn't have the courage because it was repetition. And then we start working together and it wasn't 2 or 3 weeks. I was like, my heart's set and I know where I'm going and that's it. So
Yeah,
most definitely.
yeah. No, I absolutely love that. I love that you mentioned that it was only a couple of weeks for you to make a shift, because that's really what it's like what I love about this program and what I love about when people get coached or have a therapist. So like I don't think that there's anything wrong with therapy, like having someone to talk to, but you want to make sure that if you're going to have a therapist, like it's not just someone that's just going to listen to you. It's going to be somebody that gives you the steps and the tools that you need to get out of the situation that you're in. Um, and I believe that there probably are therapists out there. I've not experienced one, but as long as you have somebody that's been where you are, has gotten out of it, and can give you the proper steps and the guidance and the support that you need, I think that you're going to quickly get out of wherever you are, because going to our day-to-day friends or our work colleagues, unfortunately, they're kind of having the same life experience. So
Yeah.
they don't even know what to do for themselves. So they're just going to give you the advice that everybody else gives them because they're also going to their day-to-day friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree there for sure.
Yeah.
Else has got almost the same advice, and which is understandable, which is exciting for me about the program, like I said, first couple weeks crying, I was upset, didn't know what to do. Like 3 weeks into it, I was like, all right, I'm ready to flourish. Let's go.
I love that. I love that shift. I love that, like, just in a few weeks, like with some tools and some support, that you were able to just be like, I got this, and I know who I am, I know what I want, and I'm going to get it. And you
Yeah.
did, like you did, you left the relationship and you did like the hard things. You made the shifts, and you not only made the shifts, but you were vulnerable enough to continue to get the support and like continue to do this program with me, so that you were having someone to hold you accountable, so you didn't fall back into your old ways, so that you can keep growing and keep improving. Like that is true courage, that is true strength. It's much easier to fall back into our old self, into the old patterns and habits where we're not very happy, because change can be like a stretch and change can be difficult. But when you can commit to having support and commit to learning more about yourself and deepening your awareness, which is, a lot of the work that we're doing now, um, then it just gets easier and easier and easier the longer you show yourself and you show the universe that you're committed to you and your improvement, so that you can
Yes.
have the future and the things that you really want. Cool, cool. So now, I would love for you to share, like, now that we've been working together for a while, what are the thoughts, emotions, and experiences that you are having now after working together? Like, what's your mindset? What's your mindset now?
Now, I mean, I'm happy go lucky. I'm a giddy person, like I don't it means a lot to me that not that everyone has to like me, but especially my close people do, and it like now I walk into work and people are like, oh my God, Fancy's here, and used to be a couple years ago, it was not that same tune, so and then, just my day to day, like I noticed that it's harder to upset me on most things, which I do enjoy, because I used to take it as a sign of weakness to be upset, and I understand now that it's not. You have to express your emotions, but it is nice to be able to have them in check a little bit more, because with this light red hair, it does get out of hand sometimes, and it is just nice to be able to, look in the mirror and not hate everything you see every day, and everybody has bad days, but, you know, having more good days than bad days means a lot more to me, and having days where, even if things are going wrong, brush it off, because it's just here for the moment. Things are going to pass. And uh, my outlook 2 3 years ago was very bleak, like I was not, like I said, I was not a very friendly person to work with. I was a much heavier, and hated everything I seen, and when we started working together and everything, that kind of, helped me realize, like, we work with food and we work with our emotions that go with food and different things like that. I was able to lose quite a bit of weight, I feel like, and
Yeah.
it's just good days, good happy days, mostly. Like I said, everybody's got a few bad ones, but it's just easier to wake up and have a smile and be ready to go about the day now that we've been working together,
Yeah.
more so than it was a little while ago.
Yeah, awesome. So let's I wanted to touch on the, we still have bad days, but like how you were saying, like the emotions are in check. So like before, you were experienced kind of just reacting impulsively, like you said, you didn't feel like you were like the friendly, outgoing, bubbly you, but now, so what you're saying is, I just want to make sure that this is right, and I wanted to get some clarity on this, is that you, when things are not going right, instead of letting it control you and consume you, you are able to see it for what it really is and just let it be and not act in a way that you're going to regret later. Is that right?
Yeah, I used to be like just so quick to blow up,
Yeah.
like the minor inconvenience. I just want to blow up right then and there, and make my point heard because I'm the only one who's right, and this didn't matter in whatever situation. And now it's not like that. Now it's, like it may upset me in the moment. I'm going to take it. I'm going to absorb it. I'm going to think about it, and I'm going to come back to you. We're going to talk about it, or we're going to figure out, how to resolve this problem. Like it's not just me so quick to blow up, which is nice too. You don't have to deal with the repercussions of having all that to deal with, but most definitely it's
Yeah. Yeah. No, you definitely answered my question. No, and I'm so glad that you said like that feeling of defensiveness, because it's like when someone steps on our toes and we're like, oh no, 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 I'm right, you're wrong. And it's like now, and now you kind of understand, like everyone has their own programming, right? Everyone has their own maps. They have their own internal ideas about the world. And once we know that, once we realize that they're valid for the way that they feel and you're valid for the way that you feel, it's easier to kind of step back and pause and just be like, okay, this makes me mad. Let's just absorb this. Let's understand this. Let's question this. And then we'll come back to it whenever I'm in the right state of mind.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's a to me that's a lot better. Like it's easier to deal with, not only on my personal standpoint, but everybody else. Like I know not everybody, they're not on their own journey. They're still having stuff they struggle and deal with. So I'm a lot more understanding to that now.
Yeah, perfect. I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Cool. And so, what is something that you learned during our time together that you found to be like really helpful, or maybe the most helpful? Like, what was your favorite thing that you learned that just really helped?
The learning how to, when we discussed like appreciative communication. Is that right? Did I say
Yeah,
it right?
yeah, yeah. Appreciative communication.
Yes, that's a big one that I've had to work on. I struggle every now and again, but learning. But that one's my favorite because I've not always taken that into, consideration. Um, More so than not, I've definitely put, that comes back to maybe like a selfishness, being defensive. Like I was always put second. So, talking to me wasn't always the best, but now that like I put myself first, it gives me a moment to think, okay, well, why is this situation the way that it is? How can we have a commute or a conversation that can resolve this in a healthy way, you know?
Yeah,
But that so far has been my favorite among some other things. Most definitely, I've enjoyed the self-worth um journey. I mean,
yeah.
just
It kind of like it is a journey. Like you learn the self-worth through little bits and pieces. It's like we don't have like a specific session on self-worth, but it's like the more you learn about yourself in increments, the more your self-worth like is acknowledged and understood, right?
every day you feel more like a baddie.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so I want to just touch on the appreciative communication just a little bit because not everyone's going to know what that means. But like we were talking about just a minute ago, being able to understand that, what you feel and what you think is valid, but it doesn't mean that you're right and the other people are wrong. It just means that we maybe need to take some time to understand why the other person is feeling the way that they feel so that we can communicate in a way that actually creates connections instead of breaks the connections between the people that we care most about or even just strangers. Like we don't want to be rude to strangers, or at least I don't, and I know Fancy doesn't. I know a lot of people don't want to just be rude, inherently rude to people, whether we know them and love them or not. So when if we can come at things with a sense of appreciation for someone else and to communicate through that appreciation by understanding you have your own programming, you have your own thoughts, your own feelings, you had a certain experience growing up, and so did they. So it's like you don't know what they experienced until you get curious about it. So the more curious you can be about others and what they're saying and why they're saying it, the less judgment you're going to have and the less likely you're going to be coming from a place of, well, my thought process is this way because of my experience, so I must be right. And so that keeps you from blowing up or being impulsive. And like she said, it takes practice. It's not something that you're going to do overnight. But the more you think about this and the more you have this awareness and the more that you come from a place of appreciation when communicating with others, the easier it gets. And like the more you shift into that, the more it becomes who you are and how you communicate with yourself and the world. So I love that. I'm super glad that you shared that. That's one of my favorites too. Like, yes, there's just so much. There's so much that we learn, and it's all really amazing. Like almost every session, I'm like, this is like my favorite session. I'm like, well, I say that about everything, but
It can all be your favorite. You got enough room.
yeah. Cool. And were there any shifts that you made during our time together that you weren't expecting to make?
Yes, like I just I guess the whole situation in general, like when I went in, I was kind of skeptical. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Yeah.
if I feel this way every day, how is trying to figure out about myself gonna change that?
Yeah.
Um, and it just took diving in. I'm like, okay, well now I see. Now this makes sense.
Oh, I love
But
that.
like, like I said, the crying every day, like the anger, the just despise of everything. And now just to work together, and like you said, it didn't even take 6 months, but we have been working together for 6 months. Like it just the complete flip it took in a few weeks, maybe 6, 7 weeks. Like I feel like it changed very dramatically. Once I got out of the relationship and I got to a place where, I could be mentally like, okay, everything started to change for me.
Yeah.
So,
No, I love that you said that you were skeptical at first and you were like questioning it. You were like, how is learning about myself and understanding myself going to fix anything? And something in you just decided to dive in and give it a try. It was like something in you was like, well, nothing else working. Let's just freaking try this. Like this is showing up for a reason, so let's just give it a shot. And then it worked like so mind-blowingly.
awesome. That's what I'm
I
saying. Like,
love
I talk to people now, like coworkers and stuff, and people that don't know that I go and see you every week and stuff. And I'm like, you wouldn't believe how much I think, this has helped me. And they're like, I've noticed that, like, you are in better moods, like you are a nicer person to be around, but I didn't know you was doing that. I'm like, yeah, my girl Heather hooks me up. She's good.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that because I definitely think a lot of people are probably skeptical about having a life coach. One, because I know before I became a life coach, I didn't even know what a life coach was. I had never even heard of a life coach. Like I was like, a life coach? Like, I don't think I'm supposed to be a life coach. And then like the more I did research, I was like, oh shit, I'm a life coach.
And I don't have any piece of advice. Do not let anyone talk you out of it. Cause at first I did have a couple people like the guy I was with and he was like, I don't know about this. Why do you feel like you need to do this? Is this something that, like is going to benefit you? Like, don't listen to them. You do you, girl or guy, whoever, but you do you. Like, don't let other people talk you out of it. Cause it's most definitely worth it.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, because I do totally get it. Like the skepticism and just I've actually had somebody message me before and I like it made me so like it made me sad a little bit. Like they were like, if medicine and therapists and all this won't help, then I don't think understanding who I am or whatever's going to help either. I'm just like, I totally get why you feel that way. And I'm here for you if you change your mind kind of deal, like, um, but society can really put us down. Like we're broken and we're not capable of change. And when someone like me tries to come and say, let me make this simple for you, you're like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
let's see. So I love that you shared that. Thank you. And I'm so thankful that you gave it a chance and you did the work because now you see what I was talking about. It's like, look, you just do these small little simple things and you're going to experience this massive shift in awareness and in joy and peace and comfort within yourself. And when you feel that way within yourself, you feel that way in the world.
Yes, most definitely. 120, 30, 40%. All the way.
Cool, cool. And is there any tips or advice that you have for people that are struggling with their self-worth, or maybe even struggling there and they're in a relationship that's kind of diminishing who they are? Or just any tips and advice in general for your experience from your life story, from what you were going through and where you are now?
Just don't give up. I mean, you know, I know it's that not everyone has a Heather. Not everyone does, she's hard to find for sure. But sometimes it takes just breaking away from that person if that's what you're going through, or if it's family that's giving you trouble, like just break away and do you for a little bit. Figure out who you are because I know at the beginning it's very hard. It's like, oh, well, this is wrong with me and this is wrong with me and this makes me feel this way about myself. Like, put all that to the side. Okay. At the end of the day, the only temple you got is yourself. Run with it. Okay. Don't put yourself down because I mean, who out here is perfect? They may think they are, but they're really not. Come on now. So just do yourself a justice and break away and figure out who you are if you can. I know not everybody has that same opportunity, but it's definitely worth it. Even if you can't find a Heather, or if you can, most definitely, she's a great one. But just do what makes you happy. I mean, because they can only dwindle you down so much before you can't take it no more. And you pop, and when you get to that point, that's close to rock bottom, and it's only up from there, baby. So go.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you were saying whether it's family or a romantic relationship or even like just any relationship in general that just seems to be diminishing who you are, dragging you down, um, to break away from that and to just take some time for yourself. So whether you have someone like me, whether you or you don't, you can, there's so much research that you can do on finding yourself. There's self-help books. There's literally so many different avenues. You can do this through meditation, you can do this through self-help books, you can do this by having a life coach or a mentor. You can do this in so many different ways. All it takes is, like she was saying, is just taking a step back from the people that aren't making you happy. Even though that can be like the hardest thing to do, because generally we care about these people, but you got to get to a point, like she said, where you can't take it anymore, and you've got to start giving that care that you have for these people that are not caring for you properly, and give it to yourself. And once you give it to yourself and take some time for yourself to figure out who you are, what you want, what you like, and commit to not compromising that, that is when the shift happens. That is when life changes. That's when the opportunities open up. That's when you're going to find the correct relationships, friendships, and the correct way to communicate with your family. That's gonna open up the opportunities for any job opportunities that you want, any career opportunities that you want. But first, you got to figure out who you are. And the reason you have to figure out who you are is because you're not going to know what you want in life until that happens. And that's why diving into who you are and figuring out who and why you are and why you do what you do, and making the shifts until you are in alignment with who you really want to be, that puts you in that puts you in the direct path that is going to be in alignment with the romantic relationship you want. And it takes time. It's not like it's not like it's going to happen overnight, but it can happen very quickly if you have the right support and accountability. And if you can't get the right support and accountability, do whatever you can do to support and hold yourself accountable.
Most definitely.
Cool, cool, awesome. Well, that's all the questions that I have, but I think you dropped some major truth bombs. I think that a lot of people are going to be able to really resonate with what you shared today. And hopefully I believe I would be inspired to make my own shifts after hearing your story. And to just see your vibrancy and your smile today after dealing with that, seeing where you were and where you are now, like, I feel capable. So I am more than positive that other people will too. So I'm super thankful for you for doing this interview with me today. And I can't wait to share this with others, to hopefully give them the inspiration that they need to fall in love with them, so that the true life, the true opportunities, the what they truly deserve can open up for them, once they
Yeah.
start treating themselves and knowing themselves and loving themselves um, the way that they're meant to, so that other people can do the same for them. They're all relationships and it's all connected, and it starts within you. Like the home, you are the home, you are the generator of your life experience. So if we can direct your attention back into you and what's going on with you and how to make the shifts, you're going to make the shifts externally, and think your external world is going to change very quickly after. So I am super thankful for you and everything that you shared today. This was perfect.
Yes, thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, this is This is everything. I'm so happy you were able to join me. All right, guys, we will see you later, and I hope that this was super valuable for you. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.